Hey everybody, David R. Becker here with Beckerart, and today I'm going to show you how to paint a pine tree that's covered in snow. Great for holiday cards and just doing a bunch of winter scenes. And a lot of times when we have snow, which we haven't been getting a lot of here in the Midwest, but I love painting snow because it's pretty fairly easy because you have a lot of white, right? A lot of white in there. But one thing that I noticed that many people don't understand is that it's not just all white. And so there's a lot of shadow in snow. And so that we're going to show you how to do just a simple tree. And who did I learn that from? John Pike. I had this book, I had both of his books, and I've done a lot of his paintings. I would like copy a lot of his paintings just to see how he did and how he painted. And I think you should do that too. If you're ever looking for a certain thing to paint and you're not quite sure, there's a lot of books out there with great artists, and copy their work. Now, don't go out and sell it as your own work. That's plagiarism. But you wanna. But I have no problem with people taking my book and copying things to learn how to establish themselves as a watercolorist and how I had done it. And so that's what I did with John Pike. And when it came to snow, and he did such great shots with snow. Look at this picture right there and here. These paintings are just I learned how to do trees and how to do a lot of the shadowing of lights and darks in the snow. So it's a really neat thing to see and to work from. And so today, what I want to show you is how just to do a pine tree. And basically, you're going to have a pine tree that's covered in snow. And basically, what I want to show you is that it's very simple. And I'm not even going to draw anything out. I'm just going to basically show you that it's either going to be a darker background or a lighter background. And then the tree, the snow is either going to be in shadow or not in shadow. And so that sometimes the sky is bluer and sometimes the sky is lighter than the snow. So let me just really quickly, and also what I want you to see is that I like to use a brush that is kind of worn, but I don't have one really well worn. So I'm going to use a really sharp one, but just basically to start putting down. And here's a brush that's really see how sharp it is. And if you wear one down, don't throw it away. It's actually good to have a roundness to it because the first one I'm going to do here is just a scene, and what you're doing is you're painting the snow first, and you could put a pencil sketch of like the snow parts of the tree, but I'm going to show you how easy it is just to almost draw it with the color. So the color of the snow. So I'm just going to put some snow in there, and I'm going to make composed blue is usually a really nice, or no, verditer blue is a nice purpley blue. And that's a nice color to use for some of the snow. And I added a little lavender to it. And so what we're going to do is just going to show you is that I'm just going to basically draw the tree covered in snow. And so what I'll do is I'm actually painting the snow. And it's kind of strange because you're painting the snow on top of the branches before you do the branches. And I know it seems kind of funny that but you're working light to dark. With watercolor, you work light to dark. So this is usually the lighter parts. The snow is the lighter parts. And so here I'm just going to take the snow. Now, if this was really in sunlight with the background being darker, which I'm going to show you in a second how to do that too, but I would still use a very light color of blue. So this one is going to be darker snow against the lighter sky. And then I'm going to do one with really light. I'm just going to take a light tint of the same blue, but very light tint. And I'm just going to put this on here. And I also can leave some of it white, but almost close to white. And I'm just going to do this, and you barely can't see anything, but there's just enough in there to show me that I'm doing the snow on top of the branches. Now, oil painters would do this absolutely totally different because they would take and do the darks first. And so they're doing the branches first and then just putting the big scoop of white on top of the branch, right? But us watercolors, we have to do a light first. And so we're taking our light colors first and actually drawing in the branches. And there's so many different kind of pine trees. And so you can draw it up first and then make sure that you're drawing the piles of snow on top of the branches basically. And see, I'm just going in there, and I can make one part. Let's say the lights come in this direction. It's coming this direction here, and so I'll keep this side lighter and this part of the snow darker. And I can put some purple in the snow, and it all depends on what what the atmosphere is around it, because it's white, but shadow on white can be anything really. So let's say it's a really warm sky, then you'd have not blue, but you'd have like a warm color for their shadows. So it's whatever color you want to have depending on the sky itself. And so there is like some of this, and then over here again, I'm going really light with it. I'm going really super light because it's going to be a darker background. But I'm still gonna, what I'm still gonna do is I'm gonna make it really light, and I'm doing the snow first before I do the branches underneath. Now this one, because the background is gonna be darker, so let's say we're gonna have a really dark blue sky behind it, and that would be negative painting then, right? I would negative paint, or you can put masking fluid down, but let's say we're just gonna make them, we're gonna negative paint this, and it is still wet, so we're gonna get soft edges, but you understand what I'm doing, is I'm doing, this is the background that's going to be dark. The background, I'm just going around the piles of snow I put down. And now the color is lighter, the snow is lighter, but when I get to a certain point, I have to realize, is the snow going to be darker than the background, the sky, or is it going to be lighter? And so this one is a darker snow, and this one's a lighter snow pile. And so this is basically the sky being blue, a nice bright blue. Well, it's not a super bright blue, but it's just a darker blue. And you'll see that if you look at my start of my video, let me just show you really quickly. If you see that the ones on the left are dark snow on the white clouds, where this one on the right is more light snow on the dark sky, right? So that's the reason I put that up there, just to show you the difference between the light snow and the dark snow. And it's not dark snow, it's still white, but it's shadowed. And it'll understand it in a second when I start putting the branches in. So that's really quickly, I'm just now, that's the dark, right? The dark background. And then also it can switch over where maybe it gets down to where it's lighter background because there's snow piles here. Then I can make these piles of snow in the actual thing darker. Again, make it's better to use a brush that's rounder on the tips so that you can just go in there and then just put the pile of snow on top of the branches. So I'm just putting on top, I'm just doing piles of snow on top of the branches. All right, so that's the snow part, and now we're gonna go get the greenery, the needles and the branches. Now you put that right underneath the snow, because these are piles of snow. So I'm gonna take like a really dark bluish green, and it could be a purple green, a blue green, just, I'm gonna make it really dark. Could be even a little bit of red in there to make it warm. And so then I just go underneath, and I just kind of place it underneath the snow piles I just made. And you can make it like needles. You can make a couple branches that stick out, that maybe the snow fell down from there already. And you can also put it into some of the blue here, so it's like sticking through. But see how it's underneath? I'm going underneath the snow banks I just did. And you don't have to do a lot of it, because a lot of it's already decided that that's a tree, right? But you already have it. And you're just basically, and look at your trees that you have in the picture, in the photograph, and you'll see, depending on how much snow is on them, I like to put a little bit more snow because I like the big piles of snow that gets on there. So on this side, I do the same thing. I do the exact same thing because I go underneath the piles. Now these piles are lighter, right? Because the sky in the background is darker. And I just go underneath the white blobs, basically, and I kind of go in there. And you can even, if you see the trunk, you can put the trunk of the tree in there too. And sometimes you can put it all the way out, like the snow fell off the, now down here it's the darker part, right? Because that's still the pile of snow. So I'm still going underneath that little pile of snow there. And remember that there's also in the front, like covering up the front of the thing. It's not like you're going to go, this is how many people do their snow or their pine trees. They go like this, and they're thinking that they're putting the branches like this, and they're always the same. They're always going like this. Gets bigger. So there's nothing in front. It's always on the side. And trees don't grow like that. They don't just grow off the sides. And when they get bigger down here, there's something in front too. So there's like, you cover up with some of the front of this, and then if I push the brush downwards, I can get the little things. But this is one with no snow on it whatsoever, right? because there's no snow on here. Now, oil painters do this first and then put the big glob. And if you're doing with gouache, you can do that too. You can actually take the gouache, the white gouache, and I'm just going to try to, it's kind of, I used some gouache in here. It got dried up. It's different. The gouache is different from the Holbein paints because, but here I'm going to take a little bit of white paint and put on, well, that's actually very, very green. And so I can put that on top of there. If you're going to use gouache, you can put it on top of the dark. And so that's another way of getting the white on top of the dark, but that's opaque. That's gouache, or it's not transparent like this is. This is transparent, so you're basically negative painting in the darks. All right, underneath there, you're taking the dark underneath these piles of snow, and just getting your branches in there. So that's basically an easy way of doing a tree. And again, it's either a darker background or it's a darker snowbank in front of a lighter sky. This could still be a blue sky, but it's got to be lighter than the actual tree and the snow on the tree. All right, so if you're doing some holiday cards and you want to kind of get that look, and don't make them like a Christmas tree, because in nature they don't grow with each branch into the pole. So some parts it can be a little bit more desolate, like where there's not branches, they broke off or something. Because in nature it's not going to be so much like you put branch A into branch A and then branch B into branch B, and so it's not like that with the nature trees and stuff. And so I just want to we're going to be doing this in our class on our Thursday paint along this Thursday night at 6:30 Central Standard Time, and we're going to be doing a bunch of these trees. And so I just want to let you know, and again, don't worry about if it's blue, the snow, or if it's a little darker blue, or if it's even yellow, because it all depends on what the sky is. If you have a really bright sky like a sunset scene, it's not going to be blue. It'll be maybe some purples, and it'll be some orange and yellows in the shadowing of the snow. So it all depends on what the sky is going to reflect into the white. Because when it comes to white, and if you ever listen to my programs on how to do shadowing, white is one thing. You can put any color there. It all depends on what's in the surface around it that makes your shadow of white. Most of the time it is blue because you have a blue sky outdoors, and that's how come you get it in the snow. You get a lot of light blue, and so that's just makes sense. But sometimes when you don't have, if you have a sunset scene, you're not going to get blue in that. All right, and even if there's snow on the ground, it'll be whatever color the sky is reflecting into the white. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing on Thursday, and so follow along and see me on Thursday, this coming Thursday, which will be the 12th. And so come by and watch me at 6:30, and we're going to be doing a bunch of these trees. All right, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.